Okay, everybody, and welcome to my very first live stream. I'm so excited. It's been a while from everything from getting this set up and the mics and all this type of stuff. So I'm happy. You know, you guys have probably seen a couple videos so far of this setup in this room, and it's a slow process, but we're eventually going to get there together. So I really wanted to do a live stream today and kind of obviously do my first live stream, but I really wanted to start with my story. And I think it's important for you to know who I am and how I created Hotshots. Last week we talked about Hotshots and what Hotshots is. Now we need to talk about the who. Who is behind Hotshots, and what does that mean? So my story. My story started. I was born in June 1986 in Pittsburgh, PA. And I was born into a middle-class family, had a wonderful family, and still do. Father and mother, both, as long as I've ever known them, hardworking parents. And they work every day, even to this day. My father had a production company where he went out in Pittsburgh and he did all kinds of different audiovisual productions back before there was even really such a thing called audiovisual and productions. And so before then, there really wasn't such a thing of that. And so my father's kind of over the years, and when he started his business, he did that, doing a production. And then my mother on the other side, she has always been kind of in the legal field. So she's not a lawyer, but she always worked in corporations that helped incorporate other corporations, do a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the things behind the scenes. And so when I was living in around Pittsburgh, Irwin to be specific, I really, well, I should say my parents, so my father had his own office. He had a couple different places where he did his work, but my father had an office down in the basement, and we had a home theater back before there were such things as home theaters, but he did it for his multimedia company. And my mother had a business, or the company that she worked for, she worked upstairs, right next to my game room. And, I really learned a lot from that time in my life. So we're talking up to the point of age 10. I went to a private school, really learned a lot with the private school, but also, realistically, I really had more takeaways from watching my parents work and the hard work that they did. And some of that was watching my dad going and doing live events. He did a lot of production work for a lot of major companies in and out of Pittsburgh, but really saw him do a lot of the events and stuff that I would now obviously know and grow to love being in the event industry. But before then, stuff that I didn't even really take a look at and realize, obviously, because I was just a kid. And so I really started to find that back then when I started to love the event industry. And it was kind of funny. I used to have like a little VTech laptop, which if you know what VTech is, when you were a kid, there was a brand, VTech or something. It was some kind of brand like that. They made laptops and educational items for kids. Now they make like iPhones and all kinds of different things. But back then they had a little laptop. So I'd walk around and I always kind of emulated people that I saw when I was a kid. So we'd go to the airport to go somewhere like Disney or something like that. And I always heard those clicky keyboards, and so I always wanted to be that person. We'd go to a hotel and I always wanted to be the concierge person, typing on the keyboard, registering, checking people in. So those are little pieces of hospitality and stuff inside me that kind of, I think, slowly built to where I am today. So Pittsburgh until I was about 10 years old. And then I moved out of Pittsburgh and moved to Frisco, Texas. And at the time, Frisco was booming. It was a big, bustling city, or becoming a bustling city. Obviously, there was nothing there at 97 when I moved here. But it slowly was growing, actually fastly. But one of my first businesses, I remember when I started after I moved here, I was only like 10 years old. So I was probably around between 10 and 12. There was a lot of people working, a lot of construction. And so I wanted to go out and help those people who were building buildings and doing all these different things, building homes in my neighborhood. And so I actually started out with, my first business was a mobile lemonade stand, if you can believe that. So I really started by just having my mother get some lemonade, mix up some lemonade for me. My aunt and grandma, when they would come in town, they would make some cookies and all kinds of different things. And so me and my friends would go out and we'd go to these construction sites and we'd serve lemonade. We had cans of Coke that we sold for like next to nothing, a couple, probably 75 cents, 50 cents, something like that back then. And it was really fun. It was a big accomplishment for me. It was the first time I ever started anything that had to do with business. And all these things, I have no idea what business is when I'm 10 or younger, or even 12, 13, really even until my teens. Did I really know what business was? I just thought it was fun, make some money and go buy something with it. And so that was my first successful company, I guess. Didn't even have a name, but we'd just go out, we'd sell cookies and lemonade. And it really gave me a lot of encouragement from my family to go do that and help these people that were building these homes in 100-degree weather. Then a big change in my life happened when I went to high school. So, I started high school here in Frisco, probably was only there for about a first semester, really. But most of my life in Texas, I went to public school. So I told you before, I went to private, went to public, then really wanted to get back into going to private school. So throughout my years here in Texas, when I went to school, I was probably a C/B student at best. And, the hard thing with that is you kind of get stuck in that phase, right? A lot of you guys probably watching were not CB students, but for me in my time in my life, I was playing video games. I was doing, nothing bad, but I was just in a rut of, so to speak, something that I didn't really find my footing. I was a young kid. I was, going through my teenage years, and CB student, not really caring much about school, not really caring much about anything other than playing video games, being with friends, the whole teenager thing. And it wasn't until the summer that I actually found a little pamphlet. Actually, my mother was looking back into private schools, and I got a pamphlet about Get Stronger is what it said on it. And so it was for actually a military school. And so from there, I was like, this would be cool. I want to do something this summer. What am I going to do? And at the time there were summer camps and all that, but I really wanted to do something different that summer. And so I decided that I would go to this military school for their summer camp program. And so I did. And it was very interesting, had a lot of fun, all kinds of, military school can be fun. Especially during the summer camp, but during the year, it's a little bit different of a story. But I absolutely love the summer camp. And so I decided I would go back. Not the fall I wanted to do, I wanted to enjoy school and see what it was like during the fall. So I did the first semester here in Frisco. Then after that, I went to the school. And the biggest thing that changed me was I was overall throughout my whole life, you could ask anyone that knew me back then, I was pretty much a pretty innocent kid. I never got into fights. I never did anything really bad or anything like that. And when I went to military school, and it's about a 12-hour drive south to get there, but when I got there, it was a whole total different scene, almost like you're being in the desert. And so here's this innocent kid, and some of you guys have probably been in the military, the thing called processing, where they process you and they get you to go through everything. And so that's what I had to do. And so all the other parents and kids were there, which was great, but then they all gave their hugs and kisses, and then left for processing. And so you get your shoes, you get your shirts, you get everything that you need. It's not always a fun environment. And then you get that absolutely greatest part of it all is you get that haircut where you're pretty much shaved bald, or in my case, high and tight. But that was a terrifying moment for me because it wasn't just going from the processing, but it was leaving your family and going into this unknown world. Even though I did the summer camp, now I'm living here. And so definitely very different. And the first night we were coming back from mess, third mess, which is basically supper or dinner. And I remember us marching, and the kid in front of me started mouthing off to the platoon sergeant, just saying something, and they kept telling him to shut up. He didn't want to shut up. So he got punched in the face, literally knocked out cold right in front of me. And that's where I say that innocent kid in me really kind of like, whoa, freaked out a little bit. And not only from that moment, but from the time you get into a barracks and you see that, hey, this is a 10 by 10 room, 2 bunks, 2 desks, and 2 people are living in it. It's kind of a wake-up call for you to figure out, are you going to be the person that just does what everyone else tells you to do, or are you going to be the person that actually makes a change in your life and do something with it? You control your life. And for me, that was the first experience where I really learned that. I really understood that. And so after I saw the kid get punched, I was like, listen, I told myself, I cannot do this. I can't live in this 10 by 10 room with 2 bunks and a bunkmate and all this, and doors are open and yelling and all kinds of different things going on throughout the night. I can't do this. I want to be where the staff is. And staff had carpet. It was very nice over there. And that's what I wanted. So I said, okay, I got to work hard and I got to do this. So it started out, I was just a private. Literally, I think a couple months later, I became a corporal, and I became a guidon that I carried around the flag, basically to represent your company. And then from there, I became pretty much a staff sergeant, ran the whole kind of upstairs, pretty much 30 students. And then from there, I went to company commander and became major of my company, which was second highest ranking actually in the whole battalion. So it was really cool. I had 60 students underneath me. I had a staff of about 10 students. And that's, in those moments, is kind of really where I figured out that, it was very rough, very hard. There was times where no one was on my side. I didn't have any help. But that was the time and the moment in my life that I realized this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to manage people. I want to be able to kind of have my own company. I want to have something like this for myself someday. And back then I had a really, really great drill instructor, kind of took me underneath his wing and really showed me the ins and outs of one, being an adult, but two, everything that I need to know about, almost kind of, I would say, managerial skills. It wasn't really that. It was just, being a CO, being a staff sergeant, being anything. If you had any questions or anything, you could go to this guy. And so it was really great for me. And probably one of the things, if someone asked me, Chris, what was your biggest takeaway out of high school? And what did I learn? And I would really say it was learning to deal with the BS. And I mean that in every sense of the word, but I mean it not anything offensive to the school or anything like that. But, there's all kinds of different things. And when I say learn about life, through life, nothing just is easy. Think of right now. We're going through a COVID crisis. We're going through all this stuff right now. And you don't know where you're going to be the next day. You don't know what's going to happen. Things happen, right? And so that's what I learned. I learned that, the school campus was primarily alcohol and tobacco free. It really wasn't, and for me, someone that wanted to uphold the rules and wanted to do things correctly, and that's how my drill instructor was teaching me, I also learned that, you know what, it doesn't always work out that way. Not everybody's going to always be on your side, not even the people who make the rules. And so that's life, that's politics. You have to learn all of that. And that was really my first taste of that, which got me into when I went to college. Um, Part of the political side of me that I really enjoyed, learning about the law, learning about all these different things that I did then too. So high school was over with, graduated high school. Like I said, I had a higher ranking, and I had all these students and everything about me, felt really accomplished, loved that. Then I moved on and I came home, and I was going to basically the local community college. And I had a couple goals already set. I didn't get my license till I was 19. Fast and Furious age was already going on somewhat. It's still going on today, I guess. We're still waiting for the new movies to come out. But if you know what I mean by that, Fast and Furious was this big, car movie. And so all my friends were into that. They all had cool cars, all this stuff back at what was going on back home here. I wanted to live that, and I never got my chance to do that because I was on a military base practically for 4 years of my life. And so that was one of the first things I wanted. I wanted to get a car. One of the second things is I told my parents, since they paid my way through high school, I wanted to pay my way through college. Okay. And so that was my other one. I wanted to pay my own way. And so when I first graduated, came back here that summer, I went to a local place. I won't mention names, but I got my personal training degree or certificate. And that was great. And so then I started looking for a job, looking at gyms and things of that nature. And the first gym I went to, the guy was like, listen, we have fun here, all this type of stuff. And I'm watching these kids in the background, horse playing and doing all these things. And that was my first opportunity, my first job I could have said yes to. He said I had the job, but I unfortunately just turned it down. And I turned it down because in my mindset, I wasn't about the horseplay. I was about getting a job and doing it well and doing it correctly. So I didn't take that job, but I took another job at another very famous gym, and I worked there as a personal trainer for a while. And when I worked there as a personal trainer, everything was great. I enjoyed it. I loved helping people. I loved learning about personal training and all that type of stuff, right? But then it got to the point where I needed to start doing some sales stuff, and I needed to start doing some other things. And it wasn't really, it was my first real learning lesson on sales. And I found out that I did not like selling things that weren't truthful to the end user, the client. And that company did that a lot. I also didn't like the games that they played where some people got sales, got leads and some others didn't, like me. So I was pretty much done with that. I kind of coasted through that job, and then it just got bad enough that I just decided to quit. And then my, I guess, almost last job officially to a non-major corporation was a family friend. And unfortunately, through that job, I enjoyed it. I liked it, but there was a lot of abuse I had to put up with. I'll just leave it at that. And I just did not like the abuse of that work. And so I basically quit that job. And that is actually when I had my own ideas. I was tired of being abused. I wanted that sense of accomplishment that I had in high school. I wanted to feel really good about myself again. That's what really got me excited about Hotshots and starting Hotshots. And, I really didn't even start drinking coffee till high school, but my mother drank coffee all her life. She loved coffee, and she knows what good coffee is. And so I started Hotshots kind of based on that. But, over the years, I really decided that, hey, I really enjoyed, the hospitality industry. I really enjoyed food and beverage. And so I wanted to do something with that, even through college and everything. That's what I was thinking, even when I graduated high school. It was either going to be something with cars, or it was going to be something with food and beverage and hospitality. So I took that. And at the time, my parents had their own, and they still do, event business with photography. And so they were doing like the Plano Balloon Festival and things like that. And we would go to these festivals and events, and I would be looking around. I'd be like, there is no coffee here. In a world of Starbucks, there was no Starbucks. And I was like, that'd be kind of cool. There'd be, some gourmet coffee, like really make them like treats and stuff, and do that for festivals, fairs, and all of that, right? And so that's what we started out doing. We got a tent. We put up tables. I got some guys to help me from my Taekwondo teachings and stuff like that, which is a whole nother story. But we kind of started doing a lot of local events, a lot of Christmas events and stuff like that. And then from there, we got our very first customer, our first corporate customer, and that was going great. We started with them, and we were doing a lot of events with them throughout the year. But then sadly, 2008 hit. And that was that big, the big hump, kind of like what we're feeling right now during this whole COVID crisis. And I had to kind of put Hotshots on the back burner. I was already going to college. I didn't have a lot of money for college, even though college wasn't immensely expensive. But, I still wanted that goal to get that car. And not only that, in 2008, my father lost his job. My mother was still working. She was the only one working in the house. So, I really decided, hey, I need to go get another job. And so I did. I worked for UPS for about a couple years, and that was it was interesting. I loved it. I loved the people there. Really opened my eyes. Now, first time working really for a major corporation and seeing the insides of it. And through my time there was a lot of things that I said to myself, you know what, I can do this on my own. And that really pushed me to the point to where, after 2008 slowly drifted on, and 9, 10, and all that, 11, 12, all that kind of, the economy started picking back up again. There was more need for Hotshots. Even though I never quit Hotshots or anything like that, it was just not something that a lot of people were into at the time. And so basically we moved on from there, and I found out that, hey, what I was making at UPS every couple weeks, I could make in one day. And so that was my goal now. Okay, well then let me quit this job. It's no longer helping me take care of college. I graduated college. So now let me move on and really put all my eggs in this basket. Let me go all in on Hotshots. And so from that time, it sounds weird, but I went to college for a while. But I actually switched. So I went to community college, then I went to UTD. And from there, I got my degree. And it was in political science, of all things. And then my goal, I had to sit down with my parents in 2012 and really talk to them at a restaurant, a little Greek restaurant. And I said, listen, I really love the law. I really want to be a lawyer. That was also another goal that I had that I wanted to do. But I also really love my company, Hotshots, and I really want to see it grow. I really want to be passionate about it. And that's the route I took. And so ever since then, we've been growing, and it's been an amazing ride. But it really came down to, I needed to help my mom, and I really needed to pay for school, get school behind me, and really focus on Hotshots when it came out. So now, we've been growing, like I said, every year. Other than this year is a little tough, but I know we'll get through it. Everything that we do here at Hotshots has been great. We've added people, we've added machines, we've changed things over the years, and now we have another thing we're working on too with my company to kind of make it even better than it's ever been. So I would say that's pretty much my story. I don't know if there's anything else. I don't think there really is anything else, but I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I hope you saw a little bit of yourselves in my story. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but I hope so. I hope there's some parallels there. And if you have any questions, let me know. But that's pretty much my story, guys. And thank you so much for joining me and listening to it tonight. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time.